Good afternoon and welcome to the second in this webinar series of Turn Passion into Profits from Social Starr. So I'm Andrew Ford. Welcome to today's episode. And really what we're going to do today is a little bit of a repeat of what we did last week, and review the 3 steps that you need to take to leave your corporate job and start your passion business on the side, be a stay-at-home parent and start your passion business. Whatever is your situation, the 3 things that you need to go through in order to really nail doing what you love and getting paid for it. Because that's the important part of it, right? We all want to do what we love, but we also should be handsomely rewarded for it. So the way to do that, and from my experience, and I'm going to tell my warts and all personal story of how I left my corporate job behind and started my own business, and the success we've had today at Social Starr. The way I did it is through this system called attraction. So what is attraction? Well, attraction's a word that I made up, and the reason why I made up a word specifically to represent what we do and how we teach our clients is because there was nothing that really nailed it in the marketplace. So we do personal branding, and that's fantastic, and that's part of the process. We do digital marketing, and yes, that's another part of the process, but it's just not all encompassing about how you can start the process of the journey to start your own passion business. So I coined this phrase myself, and there's another really super important reason why I created my own name is because now I can own this specific process. So I can own the attraction process in digital media, which obviously helps me with social media, hashtags, websites, etc., etc., etc. So the quintessential essence of attraction marketing is attracting opportunities to you rather than going out and finding those opportunities. And those people who have already started their passion businesses will know exactly what I mean. This is the difference between cold calling and making those awkward conversations where you know the people really aren't into it, and attracting or having people who message you and say, I loved what I saw online and I'm interested in talking to you. How much better is your business going to be, and how much easier it is to start if people are coming to you and asking for your service? Think it's impossible? It is not. Follow this 3-step process and you too can build attraction into your business. So we're going to go through the 3 steps today, and from a relatively high level because we've only got an hour together, but obviously we have all of the detail behind the exact methodology of how to do that, and I'm going to go through that right at the very end. So stick with us as we go through how to create your own passion business with attraction marketing. So one thing we need to nail before we start, and this is a really essential topic, is branding hierarchy, because this is the thing that most of my clients miss, and even large businesses I talk to do not get this, and it's so essential to the building blocks of any business from complete startup to corporations. And I'm going to use the example of one of the most successful businesses in the world today. Now, everybody out there is going to have one of these. It's a smartphone, right? But it's not any old smartphone, it's an iPhone. And so what we notice with this is an iPhone, but then there's an iPad, and then there's iTunes. So they have a branding methodology for their products. And I guarantee you, if I Google iPhone, I will come up with a web page that says iPhone. And there'll be marketing material around it, and there'll be specific things on Facebook, and there'll be a whole bunch of brand assets around this specific product. What does this product do? It does one thing and does it really well. Well, it does a bunch of things, but it's a smartphone, and it's a very good smartphone. And the iPad is a very good iPad. It doesn't do all sorts of things. It does what an iPad should do. So product marketing is the first thing, because most people miss this essential fact, is that you need to bound your services into a deliverable product which people exchange for money. If you don't have a product, you cannot make money, because that is what people exchange, the value in this product or the perceived value, for the dollars in their pocket. Now, they don't just buy from anywhere, they buy from a company. And the company has a brand as well. And that has an impact on how we feel about these specific products. So if you think about Samsung, and you think about BlackBerry, and you think about Nokia, and then you think about Apple, they're just brands, right? I haven't talked about products, but every one of you would have been thinking about, oh, Nokia, God, where are they now? Or, BlackBerry. I remember I used to have one of them and I either loved it or hated it. I actually love my BlackBerry. I thought it was really cool. So, but the brand impacts not just the perception of the product, the price we will pay. If you have bought an Apple product in the last few years, you too have probably stood at the front of a store in a queue, lining up to pay full retail for this product within the first few months of it coming out. That is crazy. Who can command such loyalty from clients and such high prices than Apple? And there's not many people who can do it. And they've mastered the branding technique of the company and the product. But this is not all. The quintessential thing that makes Apple Apple is actually not the products. And it's not the company brand. It's the people. The people, and one specific person of Steve Jobs, RIP, Steve Jobs was the difference, in my opinion. If you look at other successful companies, Berkshire Hathaway, Virgin, what is the difference between those companies and the other companies? Is the people. Inspirational leaders who can capture the hearts and minds of consumers, not with their products, but with their vision and mission. They are the people who create amazing companies and amazing branded companies, and people line up and desire their products. You think about the most successful companies of today: Airbnb, Uber, Elon Musk, who is the new Steve Jobs in my opinion. He jumps on stage and people cannot wait to hear what he has to say. He did one tweet recently, and I believe, I'll get the figures wrong, but I believe that his stock went up something like $50 billion, and he personally made like $5 billion in from one tweet. We are going into the home solar business or something like that. Amazing. His personal brand and Steve Jobs' personal brand has a massive impact on the business results of that company. Now, we are not Apple. Social Starr is not the size of Apple. You're not going to be the size of Apple. However, the branding principles are exactly the same. There are 3 brands you need to create, and there is 3 digital strategies you need to have. You need a personal brand to attract business to you with your message. You need a company of which they respect and trust enough to transact with. But they don't transact for the company, they buy a product. What is the product value? What is the tangible result I am getting for me that I'm willing to exchange my money for? And if you nail all of those 3 things in a nice synergy, you will have a successful business. Now, be careful. This does not mean that I need 3 Facebook accounts, 3 Twitter accounts, 3 LinkedIn profiles, 3 websites. Not necessarily at all. However, we need to have a strategy for each of those and how they fit together. All right, foundation done. Let's move on. What I want to talk about now is how we do this. So Steve Jobs, he was the inspiration behind Apple. For Social Starr, I'm the person, the forefront, the face of the brand, and it's personal. I run my business not because I want to make loads of money like Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs worked for $1 a year when he went back to Apple. It was not about the financial success. It was about he was passionate about it. It's a personal business to him. He took it personally, and all good businesses are like that. So yes, I'm a business guy. I love technology. I've worked in social media for years and years. I've done all sorts of marketing campaigns from TV and traditional to all through every single element of social media. So I've got that experience. And I wrote a book about it. Creating a powerful brand is my thoughts and my process on exactly how to take your brand and make it an attraction brand. But it's not about just business. It's about more than that. My business, and this is the difference between a passion business and another business, is my business is there to revolve around my life. I love to exercise. I love sport. I like to train and work out. And I will make sure that my business gives me those key things in my life, because without that, I might as well just work for somebody. Today, 2 hours before I was doing this, preparing for this webinar, I went to the gym. And you know why? I wanted to clear my head. I wanted to think about the messages I wanted to give to my audience, and I can. So that is what you do a passion business for, so you can have control. It's not about the business. It's about control of your life, making the decisions yourself to live to your own way of living. And everyone's different. Some people might like working out. They might want to, go sit in the sunshine, might want to read a book at lunchtime. You can have that control. And there's another simple element, another very important, and it's the most basic one for me and the foundation of my business, and that is my kids. I started this business so that I could have control and flexibility of my time to care for their needs. If my kids are sick, I can just leave. I don't have to ask anybody. I don't get dirty looks walking out of the office. I can just go. And that, to me, is worth more than money. And that is why I started a personal business and a passion business called Social Starr. So, how do we go about creating our own business? And if you're on the call today or are listening on the recording, you will have a passion business, otherwise you would not be here. You've got an idea, you've got a burning passion to do something specific in your life. And I want to make it real for you, because that's what I love to do. So the first thing is, you've got to understand you. Businesses are built on the people who run them, and the founders are the most important people. And your values are the company's values initially, and your face is the business, and the way you run it, your personality and your strengths are the strengths of the business. So you've got to understand yourself. That's the critical element. So to understand yourself, I'm going to go and tell you a bit about myself. And we've got to go right back to the early days of 1971, of Peace and Love, of Monty Python, and a whole bunch of interesting things, because that's the year I was born. And I'm going to tell you my story, and I'm going to give you my journey, because I get asked this question all the time: is how did you start your business? How did you do what some people want to do? So I'm going to give you all of the information, because I believe that by me sharing my story with you, it'll help you to define your own story and help you to live your own passion business. So, 1971, this guy's Prime Minister. Nice black and white photo. Isn't it amazing that, things were black and white back then? It doesn't seem that long ago to me, but it was quite a while ago. The Vietnam War was on. Oh my God, the last war that we were really involved in. Of course, over there in the Middle East, but, the last one that was really impactful, divisive in the community. This was the computer system of the day. I work in social media and technology every day, and when I was growing up, these big beasts from RCA, remember them? That's who, everybody stole their ideas from back in the day, were the latest cutting edge technology. The Rolling Stones, they were just getting started. Look how cool they are. Back in the day, they weren't grandfathers back then. Michael Jackson was just a little kid. I mean, RIP again. He had a big afro, and of course he had a pretty good tan back then. Elvis Presley was still alive, believe it or not. That's not Elvis, that's actually me. And Arnold Schwarzenegger was a bodybuilder. So that's the era that I grew up in, way back in the 70s. And there's a nice picture of me. There's me playing footy. I was a big football lover back in the day. I broke for Collingwood, so don't hate me for that. And this one. This is a picture of my family. And permission to be a little bit personal. So this is me, my brother, my sister, and my mum. And you notice that something is missing there, and that's obviously my dad. And if you've read my book, and if you know a bit about me, you'll know that, unfortunately, I didn't grow up with a dad. How does it impact my life? In a big way. That's why my kids are so important to me today. I just happen to get two boys, so it's a very, very strong reflection of my upbringing. And that is why business is so important to me, to support my kids, to give me time and flexibility to spend with my kids that I didn't get. That's my why. If you understand your why, you will be able to drive your business in the direction that you want to live your life. But it's essential that you go back and understand what is driving you to do this. So after this webinar, I want you to go back and think about what is your why for doing what you want to do, and go back as far as you can, because it generally, from my experience of doing this over and over and over again, it starts very early on in your life. And your relationship with your dad and your relationship with your mum and your relationship with your family is a massive driving force on you today, whether you know it or not. So, what happened? Grew up without a dad. My mum was a bit of a hippie, believed in freedom. I was left to my own devices. I just hung out with my mates. I barely scraped through high school. I was lucky enough that my grandparents could send me to a private school, and I got through, but I didn't do particularly well. And I really wasn't achieving much in my life. You know why? All I wanted to do was hang out with the mates, drink, party, go skiing, and enjoy myself. That was my life back then. In this picture, I'm, I don't know, 20-something. I'm over in New Zealand with my mates. It was a fun time, but you know what? I was directionless. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then something changed for me. What changed is my mum, who loved me a lot, of course, and wanted the best for me, saw what was happening. I was going nowhere. And she sent me to do an intelligence test with a psychologist. What do? I go out, I get drunk the night before, I rock up for this intelligence test and I'm late, and I go through the process. And it's a 3-hour exam, basically, in all different elements of personality, emotional intelligence, traditional intelligence, etc. I go back the next week and he tells me, this doctor of psychology sits down from America, it was an American guy, and he tells me that I have the intelligence level of a judge, of a CEO, someone who could do amazing things in the world. My intelligence level, he told me, was in the top 5% of the population. You know what that did for me? It gave me the confidence, and it gave me the starting position to go, wow, what am I doing with myself? I'm working in a warehouse. I'm just spending my time drinking and doing nothing on the weekends. I'm not using my potential. And that was the kick in the pants that I needed to go out and change my life. And you know what I did? I set some intentions. The intention is the first step in the attraction process. You've got to know what you want or you will not get there. Sounds pretty standard, goal setting. Yes, it is. But have you done it? And the key about intention is it's not just about setting a goal. There's a defined process that we go through here with my clients, and it's 5 unique steps. And we've got some information on that in a minute. And each of those steps have multiple steps. So the workbook we use to help to crystallize your intention is lengthy. There's a lot of stuff in there. We evaluate and analyze your background and look at so many different things to help you come up with a crystal clear intention that you feel is spot on. Not, oh yeah, that sounds about right, but it hits you in the heart and you go, wow, that's it. And I've just explained what I went through in order to clarify what I wanted. Then you need to write it down. It doesn't have to be long, it could be a sentence, but you've got to enact it by writing it down. Step 1. So, people who signed up for the webinar, you would have got this blueprint. And I've had feedback from people on the previous call we did last week that they said they found it amazingly useful. And this is the summary version. This is the summary version of the process we use in our consulting business. So what does it do? It helps you to understand you, your business, yourself, your customer, etc. And I'm just going to go through a couple of bits. Last webinar, I went through a whole range of these, and we end up going over time because there's so much depth in this. But I just want to touch on it to give you a slight understanding of how important this is. Because without the right intention, without the right map, you'll end up in the wrong place. And I'm going to talk to you about how that happened to me in just a sec. So, what's the first parts of these? And the first section in here, you'll say selecting the right business idea, but that's about the why. That's about your intent. We look at your life stage. Where are you in your life stage? We look at this because I've had so many clients who say, I want to grow to, my business to $10 million. I want to do this and I want to do this. Oh, and by the way, I'm having a baby next week. or I want to retire in 6 months, or, different phases of life have different stages for your business, and it changes the way we set it up. It changes your digital strategy. So we need to know where you are. Number 2 is values, and that's probably the most important and the most dramatic on your life. And the way we look at values is from this thing called axiology. It's one of the ologies like psychology and anthropology. And Dr. John DeMartini introduced me to this many years ago, and it was a very profound impact on myself. And there's 7 areas of that. And those 7 areas look at things like your relationship between money and your business, and your family and your friends, and your health and your spirituality and your education. And you can define what those mean to you. Health could mean I want to, work out and smash myself in the gym every week, or it could mean that I drink green smoothies, or it could mean that I'm a vegan, or it could mean that I meditate. It doesn't matter. It's what health means to you. But the key of this is how important is your health compared to your business, and how important is your family compared to money, and how important is money to your business, etc., etc. Because what we find is the people who don't have any money and come to us for business support have a low value on money. And if they had a high value on money, they would have money. And the people who have a low value on business shouldn't be starting their passion business because they have a low value on that. However, you can link and alter and modify these values because these are the core drivers in your business and your life. And if you don't love doing it, you're not going to go and do it, no matter how much you try and make yourself. So we bring out these values, we help you understand them, we go through this process in order to help set up your business around the way you operate and not how other businesses operate. Because you know what? That doesn't matter. You can only be you. You can only run your business as you can run it. Then the next one is your strengths. We've got to know what you're good at. What's the thing that's going to make you successful in your particular industry? So we look through your background, your history, your work process, and go, what is the thing that you can hang your hat on that we're going to position the business around? We look at your personality, and we use the Roger Hamilton Wealth Dynamics test in order to look at your strengths in your personality around business and how to make money. Then we look at your motivation, which is really your goals. What do you want to do? So intention is like the mission, if you like, and the objectives is the motivation. What are we going to do? When are we going to do it? How are we going to do it? And that's only just the introduction, but that's so clear. And once you go through that process, you will have a crystal clear intention. You write it down, and then you're on to the next phase. That's only the start of the guidebook. I can't go through it all, but you've got that. Please give that a go. Write down the material, and then at the end, I want you to come and talk to me about it. All right. So once you set an intention, what's next? Well, you need to pay attention, because when you set an intention, things just start to happen, and you will notice there's changes in your life immediately. Now, when I say that, people go, oh, that's like The Secret, where you sit on a mountain and you cross your legs and, you pray and things just happen and you wish, I want the Rolls Royce to, drive past and stop and give me the keys. It's not going to rain money on your head. What setting an intention does is start a psychological known process where you just start to notice opportunities within that. So I use the example of whenever you want to buy a new car. Say I say to myself, great, I'm going to buy a new Jeep Cherokee and it's going to be white with a tow bar. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to walk out in the street and suddenly white Cherokees are going to be driving around everywhere. And then I'm going to be online and I'm going to notice all those ads for white Cherokees and I'm going to see that and I'm going to imagine it and I'm going to talk to people about it, and suddenly this has brought my awareness to something that's like, not everyone has just bought a Jeep Cherokee. It's just that my awareness is now centered on that. And that is true for anything. If you set an intent to start a passion business in a certain area, the world of opportunity will open up in that specific area. But you have to pay attention, because sometimes these signs are subtle and you have to be aware of what these signs are and how to use them. First step, set intention and then pay attention. So then that's not the end of it. You've got to take some action, right? We've got to start building your business. So you know what you want to do. You understand yourself. You've dug the foundations. Now we're going to start the building. So let me go back to my little story. So I've finished at the psychologist. I understand that I've got some potential. What do I want to do with it? I want to be a businessman. And do you know why I want to be a businessman? Because my grandfather was a businessman, and he was the most influential person in my life at that stage. He started a business when he was young. He got back from the war, worked for a company, and they ripped him off, and he said, stuff that, I'm going to work for myself. And his business provided my education, the education for my brother, my sister, my two cousins. He had a beach house we used to go to. It just provided for my whole family. He bought the house that I lived in and grew up. That business was the lifeblood and the heartbeat of our family. So of course, by understanding that, of course I want to run my business to replicate that. And that's how we work. So we're back in 1990. I've made this life-changing decision. I've set an intent. And what happens? Well, sorry, this is 1990s, what happens in 1990. So all of these cool things are happening in the world, right? People are getting released from prison. It's not really that cool that Tom Cruise is the sexiest man alive, but he wasn't crazy yet, jumping on couches. Now, Arnold Schwarzenegger has gone from a bodybuilder to an actor. That was quite cool. Michael Jackson is growing up and changed color. Computers have become small. They're on every desktop. They've opened up the world for people. And look at this. The launch of the mobile phone, I actually had one of these bricks. At the time, it was revolutionary. All it could do was save five phone numbers, and ring someone. And that's the battery, which is like weighs about half a kilogram. And then there's the cool gaming features. So this is the, prevalent to the Google glasses, I guess. So that's the next technology era. Things were starting to happen in technology. So what did I do? So how did I get ahead? How did I build my assets to start my business? Well, I went to work for a technology company. Started working for Hewlett-Packard. Hewlett-Packard is the company where Steve Jobs first worked and got the inspiration to start Apple. It was the first company in Silicon Valley. The garage where they started the business is a museum now. They were an inspiring company of the day. Not today, though, unfortunately. I went and got educated. At school, I was told I was not smart. I wasn't, encouraged to do things. So I went and did my own education. I now knew that I had some potential, so I went and got a degree, and another degree, and yet another degree. I spent forever part-time at business school to learn the process of starting my own business, even though I didn't know that I wanted to do that back then. I had a burning desire, but I wasn't clarified that I wanted to do it in my own way. That was sort of hidden, so I did it at other places first. And I worked at places like Census and IBM and a bunch of other big companies. And that was fantastic for the day. And I thought I was going along the right track. This is a picture from my Master's Entrepreneurship Studies, where we won the Boston Consulting Group Business Strategy Contest. We beat every other MBA school in this entrepreneurship, this new course which had never been around before, called entrepreneurship. We were the crazy ones. We were the ones that would come up with these outlandish ideas and try and start businesses and change the world. And how cool was that? That was a good time. And I thought everything was great. I had toys, I had money, I had status. But unfortunately, that's not the way it panned out. I use this photo because this is how I felt at the end of that period. I've set my intention, I've got some potential, I've built all this stuff that I thought I wanted. I built the dream. I literally had a white picket fence house with 2 cars, 2.3 children on the way, had money, had success, but it wasn't what I really wanted. I was the grayed out guy in the world. I felt like I wasn't living my purpose. I felt like selling more computers wasn't helping the world, and it wasn't fulfilling. And I'm sure the people who are listening would know that this is how they feel. They don't want to just punch the clock. They don't want to do the 9 to 5. They want something else. They want more. They want to give back. Self-actualization, top of the Maslow hierarchy of needs. We want to be of value to other people. This is what I wanted at this time. And it changed me because I'd built a life and I'd built all of this stuff around something that I thought I wanted, which was the factory-made life. It was what society said that was the perfect life. So come 2010, after all of this work, it all bloody fell apart. I had a car crash year, the worst year of my life. even growing up without a dad and all the other crazy stuff that happened to me as a kid, this was the killer. I left my job suddenly. I got divorced. Lots of stuff happened. Not a good time in my life. So what did I do? I went back and I reassessed, and I dug deep, and I set a new intention, or reclarified my intention, and I took some action. I did. I stepped forward. I kept walking. And I was determined at that time, after all those challenges, to build the life that was what I really wanted. An authentic life that fulfilled me in the ways that I need to. Can't just set an intention. You've got to take the hard decisions to do that. Leaving my job was not an easy decision. It actually came because I had a conflict with the CEO, but in the moment of that conflict, I could have sucked it up, I could have brown-nosed, and I could have just said what he wanted me to say and apologized for something that I didn't do and accept the consequences. But I said, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. Because that's what you give up when sometimes you work for a company that doesn't respect you. Is you give up a bit of your soul. You're selling your soul a little bit each day in order to get what you want, which is the financial thing. So you know what? I just let it all go. I let go of the corporate dream. I let go of the status and the money and the ego, and I let go of all that stuff. And I started an action path to start my own business. I walked out of that company, my laptop and my phone, jumped in my car, and immediately knew, not thought, knew that I would be starting my business that day. Luckily for me, that I'd already started building Social Starr in the background as a part-time thing just because I loved it. It was a passion project. It was something that I had been working on for several years just for fun. Me and my business partner, Dave Trigard, we were doing it for shits and giggles. It was fantastic. So we were building people's brands. We were helping people with strategy because we had all this knowledge. And I saw the intersection of branding and digital as personal branding. It'd only been in the US for about a year or so. And we caught on to this trend early, if you like, and started helping people immediately. Did I know I was going to start the business? Thought, well, maybe one day. But it's very hard to let go of the golden handcuffs. But what I believe is that my intent to start my business from way, way, way back when finally caught up with me, and I could not let it go anymore. So I made the decision. I could have gone and got another corporate job. Recruiters rang me and offered me, exceedingly awesome amounts of money to go and work for another corporate, and I turned them down flat. I decided to do my own thing. Was it hard? Absolutely. Was it worthwhile? Absolutely. So we've got to take action, and a lot of it. So life began at Social Starr. Social Starr began life in a few ways. Firstly, it began on LinkedIn. I'd already been on LinkedIn for ages. I started using LinkedIn as a marketing tool. And today, it is the best marketing tool out there to start your business. Hands down. It is where trust and respect can be given to your clients. It is an outreach tool. It is a database. It is an essential building block of any new business. And if you're thinking of starting a passion business, start it part-time. Get it off the ground. You know what you need? You need a LinkedIn profile. That's the starting point. You can start a business and sell from just that. Of course, it'd be nice to have a website too, but you can start selling just from this. So, I started with LinkedIn profile. What else did we do? I wrote a book because I went and saw this thing called Key Person of Influence before they were even started. Talked to Dan Priestley. He said, you need to write a book. So I wrote a book. That was even before the first program was running. And I sat down. It took me forever to write this book. It was not easy. It was hard, but it was fantastic. I enjoyed the process, even though it's hard. It was, it's like running, right? The rewards are directly commiserate with how hard it is. So I wrote a book, and that has been a fantastic resource in order to establish my credibility, but also design the process, because I have to fill the pages with good content. And to assemble that content in my own brain, I wrote it down. Writing a book is a great step. And you know what? When you write a book, you get invited to write other books. I've been featured in several books now as a contributing writer. And am I a writer? I almost failed English. My English teacher told me I was dumb compared to my brother and my cousin. But here I am, a published author. And I got some people. These are my first staff members who don't actually work for me anymore, but they came along and we got this cool office and we started working. We just pumped out some, digital strategy and personal branding for our clients. As soon as I was out, do you know what happened? My network provided me with opportunities. As soon as I left that job and I was living my intention and I was taking action, I got offered people to work for me, offices to work from, investors to invest in my business, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Even KPI gave me opportunities to market to get our first, major clients across the door. It all fell into place, and this is part of the process. Because once you start to take action, you've got to watch for the reaction. I took the step. I told people I was going to start this business. I started networking. I started doing LinkedIn. And the reaction was amazing. Everything just kind of fell into place, if you like. So you've got to watch out for those reactions. And you'll get negative reaction, and that's normal. And you adjust and you refine and you build and you keep going through that cycle until you get to a certain point. So what were the results? We started getting recommendations. People were reviewing us and saying, you should deal with us. We were getting business through this. LinkedIn, we were getting featured on websites and on podcasts. We started to get some attraction. Now, we're moving from the understand to the build to the leverage. And this is possibly one of the most important parts because without the clear understanding of yourself, you can't get started. Without building the assets and building the things that you need to start your business, you can't execute. But the leverage is where you bring it all together and you make the dollars. So leverage is things like blogging. It's things like presenting. And I'll just pause on this particular blog that I wrote because it's one of the ones that touched a heartstring with many people. So obviously I just told you I use LinkedIn as a major platform. Not the only one, I'm big on Twitter and Facebook, etc., but the primary one because you can do things like this. I wrote a blog. This specific one was why I quit my high-paying job to start my own business. And it touched a nerve. It's only 500 words. It's only a picture that I did some editing in PowerPoint, but it touched a nerve with people. And you can see from some of those stats is that we got lots of likes and views and comments. And it's still on my LinkedIn profile. You can go and read it. The comments were heartfelt and touching for me. And I realized at that moment there was so many people out there just like me who would desired and really wanted to start their own business. But you know what? They just didn't know how. So I didn't know this process at the start or while I was going through it. It's only retrospectively when I look backwards and connect the dots that I can work out what I did and why in order to start my own business. Presenting. Talking to people in groups is an extremely effective way to start and market and to leverage your business. Builds your brand, builds your company brand, and sells your products. So presenting could be in many ways. It could be face-to-face, this is me teaching a LinkedIn workshop. It can be in a webinar like we're doing today, or it could be in things like podcasts, which I'm actually going to be starting soon. So my dream is to communicate with as many people as possible and help them on their journey. Podcasting seems like a really effective way to do that. So I'm going to start. I've set an intent. I just told Ben, my marketing guy, just a minute ago that we're going to start a podcast because yesterday I was at a KPI pitch fest and all I was hearing was about podcasting. So that's my intent and I'll be building that in the near future. So what's the results of all of this leverage is that one of them was, and an unexpected result was we started to get attention from sponsors. I'm a business guy. I do personal branding and digital marketing and help people start their businesses. I help people get into the right careers and I help corporations do both of those things with their staff and with their referrals. And yet this computer company called Lenovo contacted me out of the blue and said, "You're a highly influential person. We want to give you a laptop." And I'm like, "Cool. What do I have to do?" And they're like, "Nothing. Just talk about it." Cool. I'm happy to do that. So they gave me a laptop, and it was an awesome laptop, by the way, in nice orange color, touchscreen. I'm presenting from a Mac right now, but it's an amazing equipment. So I did that. And then what happened is they flew me to London to meet Ashton Kutcher. Fortunately, I couldn't be there because I was having a baby at the time. But they just had an amazing experience of blogging and putting myself out there. You will be surprised and amazed at the things that you can attract. It's not just business. It's employees. It's partnerships. It's sponsorships. There's a range of things that will come to you when you are attractive. What else happened? People started recommending me. My reputation built. We started to get referrals from people we didn't even know. That is the benefit of going through this process. And finally, this is the stage where we are at right now. We're in attraction. And you know when you're in attraction, when you feel like you're in flow. Ever since I started the business, I was in flow. But as we built and we started leveraging the business even more, it became easier. Clients came to us. We built our processes. And you know what? We work hard. We love working hard, but we get the results. And you know when you're in flow because you love it. You love coming into work every day, and the results are quality. Your clients love it. You love it. That's the win-win that we all want. And you get paid well for it. That is attraction. Now, attraction is the start of attraction, and it's different. I'm going to tell you why. So what's next for Social Starr? What's next for me? What's next for our products and our company? I'm going to tell you. We are moving towards attraction, and we have a plan. And you know when you're in attraction because this is where you automate. This is where you take the E for digital and you start to go out of manually doing work and trading time for money into automated work. It's when your processes are so robust and your service quality is so good with your clients that you can start to remove yourself from the picture. And what result does that have? It frees up your time to build your business and grow bigger. And there's some other results I'll talk about in just a minute. A little case study. One of the clients recently, and I've had loads of clients over the last 2 years, but one of the ones that I did recently that was really impactful in my mind was Rowan. Rowan came to me for his LinkedIn profile, and we'd never even talked about LinkedIn. We talked about what he loved and what he was passionate about. And we know what he was passionate about? Running. He bounded down the stairs for our meeting. I'm like, "Man, you're fit." He's my age. And I'm like, "Geez, I'm not as fit and vital as you. How are you like that?" He's like, "I love to run." And I'm like, "Oh, I used to run. I tried to run a marathon once. I got training and I did a half marathon. I was getting up to 32 Ks and then I broke down." And he's like, "Oh, this happened." I said, "Yeah, that's exactly what happened." And he goes, "What about this?" And I'm like, "That's exactly what happened." He knew. He intimately understood my experience. I'm like, "Man, you got to teach this stuff." And he goes, "Oh, yeah, I do it just on the weekends, a bit here and a bit there." I'm like, "What do they pay you for that?" And he's like, "This." I'm like, "Oh my God, I would pay you 10 times that if you could help me run a marathon." He goes, "That's what I want to do. I want to help people to run a marathon, to tick it off their bucket list, to live their dream." That's his passion. That's what he wants to do. And I go, wow, imagine if I could help him to do that. Imagine the changes in his life if I could apply my process of understanding you, building a digital marketing framework and skills and experience, and helping him leverage to live his dream. And he didn't do this full time. He just wants to do this part time as an addition to his existing business. And I go, fantastic. That's great too, because he runs his own business. So in 12 weeks, meeting every week, we went through the process of the 12 steps that I do to build brands. And he went from an idea and a dream to a functionally run business that makes money. Independently running his own website, doing his content management, serving clients, and making dollars. And you know what? He's so busy that he can't take on any more clients. That's how good it's been. He was a great client. I love working with people like Rowan because he's passionate and he's proactive and he has a dream that he wants to fulfill. they're the types of clients that we love to work with. We service many types of different clients in this business, as I said, from career to businesses building their business. But these passion projects are at the heart center of what I love to do as individually. And so what I'm going to do is I want to start my attraction process in my business. I want to run a 12-week course. I'm calling it Passion Products in 12 weeks because I've run this program with Rowan and with others, and I know it's repeatable. I know the system works, and I know from talking to other entrepreneurs and startups that this is not available. Just last night, I was at the KPI event, and a young lady came up to me and was talking to me. She asked for a copy of my book, and I gave her a copy. And I started talking about her business, and she was just about to, press go on some digital stuff. And I'm like, how much is that costing? And she told me, and I'm like, wow, that's a reasonable amount of money. Are you prepared to invest that? She goes, sure. I go, how many clients have you got? None. So she makes zero revenue, but she was just about to make a pretty big investment in some digital. And then I told her about how in 12 weeks I can build her an entire business for the same price as that website. She didn't believe me, of course. So I described what we do, how we do it, and why our process is different. And she's amazed. Now, she's already contacted me, and I'm sure we're catching up quite soon. But I want to offer this to other people. Because yes, we want to grow our business, we want to make money, and we will be successful for ourselves. But more importantly, I want to do it with people who are equally passionate about their businesses and understand their why, get them built up in their digital process, and help them to service more clients. So I will take you in this 12 weeks from concept to making money, serving clients. Through my process, 3-step process of understanding yourself, your business, understanding the market, building a digital ecosystem, including photos, bios, websites, taglines, LinkedIn, social media, landing pages, video, how to do productization, how to price your products, how to sell and how to pitch, everything from where to go, and then teach you how to use the technology. So I'm going to train you to do it. And that would be in a 3-hour session once a week. That's the kind of format we're looking at. And normally I price this out in the market. This would be about 15 grand. But I'm not going to charge 15 grand. I probably could, but I don't want to. And because if it's that price prohibitive, no one will do it. So we can do it for less than a third of that price. The price of this one website for this lady, she can get the whole enchilada, the same process I took Rowan through from zero anything to success in 12 weeks. That's what we want to do. We want to run a course and I want your feedback because we haven't run it before. It's the first time I've run in a group setting, and that's the start of our process because you know what? We want to put this online because we know that people overseas and people who are going to have access to the resources we have here in Australia need this. They need to understand how to bootstrap a company and get started up and running in order to just get started and make some money, make the revenue and then reinvest and then grow and then build and do all the other things you need to do in the business process. We want to help people start their passion business. Getting started is the hardest bit. So what do you need to do? I want you to fill in the blueprint that was sent to you. It's an important document to help to clarify your thoughts, understand yourself, and set an intention. Then, because I'm so passionate about this, my business manager is not so happy, but this is important to me as a person. I want you to book a session with me, and it's going to cost you $50. But I'm not going to take you $50. I'm actually going to give it to a charity. And the reason I'm going to do that is that I don't want to pay for this session because if I pay, my rate is $500, and I think that most people wouldn't want to pay that initially without knowing us. People pay me that all the time for my individual consulting, and I go, that's fantastic. But the people who want to start their own business, I encourage you, I implore you to take the first step and to start an intention to do it. So $50 that goes to charity, I will spend my time and I will assess your business idea and help get you started. Now, the benefit of that is I'm also going to give you a ticket to this thing called Motivation Day. It's got 8 quality speakers, and they are there to give you a kick in the bum to get started, to take the action that you want to do. to start your passion business, because the biggest barrier to starting any passion business is actually yourself. And I've worked with so many people, and I know that they just get in their own way and they need help. And we want to help you to do that. So profits of this motivation area go to Magical Getaway Foundation. That's a charity we're supporting. It's one of the speakers on the day as well. I'll be speaking on the day, as well as Travis Bell, the bucket list guy. He's one of the guys I follow. He's a really cool dude, and he helps people to live their bucket list. So he helps them to do cool travel and live their life through experiences. I help them start the business because, you know what, I'm a business guy. That's what I love to do. So please register, come see me, tell your friends. If you've got a friend who you know has got a burning desire to start a business, tell them to listen to the recording or come onto the next session, which is next week, same time. Now, this is the reason why I started my business in the first place. I've got two really important reasons for me to make this a success. We want to have a successful business to support our families. I get that. However, we don't build passion businesses for money. We want to make money and we want to be financially successful, but we do it for our why. And this is my why. If you have a why like that, it doesn't have to be family, it could be something else. Please press a button, start the process, come along and join our community. Now, taking it up a notch, I wanted to go through some Q&A in this session. Now, this Q&A is a little bit different in that I'm actually going to ask you some questions as well as you asking me some questions. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a look at the questions. Oh, there's lots of stuff here. So Karen asked a question. How does one book an assessment like you did to determine the skills, strengths, etc., etc.? Karen, I think I answered that. Go through the process after the webinar. We're going to send you the recording. Book a session with me. I'm going to do that for that charity, $50. I've already got a bunch booked from the last session, and I'm loving doing them because, you know, I love teasing out people's passions. How long have you been running your business for now? So on my LinkedIn profile, you'll notice, this is for John, is that my business started 4 years ago, and I did it 2 years part-time. Then I left my corporate job, and I took 2 months to get my investment sorted, and then it's been incorporated, Social Starr Pty Ltd, for almost 2 years, 2 years in September. That's how long I've been running it for. Last year, we grew our business 326%. This process works. You can grow a business and be profitable by doing this process. I know, I do it for me, I do it for other people. All right. Now, a few people had some trouble with audio, so I'm hoping that there will be a good recording of this. If not, we will do another recording and we'll send it out to the people who registered, because there's quite a bunch of them who couldn't make it because obviously it's a work day. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start, no polls today. We had some polls for the webinar, but we're not going to load them in today. So I'm going to leave it there, and I want to thank you for your attention. I want to thank you for your time. I really do appreciate comments and feedback. I had a bunch of people email me and text me and Facebook me and all those sort of things after that. Please do connect with me. I genuinely do appreciate people who take the time to connect and just give me some feedback. You know, we love running these sessions. As I said, we're going to be running a podcast in the future, and this is the precursor for us to do that. The podcast is more Q&A built rather than me presenting, but webinars are more obviously one way. There's my LinkedIn profile. There's my personal website for my blog. Please have a read. As I said, love your comments. If you've got any other questions, you can just email me. I'm more than happy to answer. I'm happy to look at your digital setup and give you some advice, no charge. What we want is to establish a community of people who are building their passion businesses and helping each other to do so. And I love connecting people up with people. You know, I've got a very big network, and I'm more than happy to help people to get started. So, thank you for your time and attention. I really appreciate your support in this cause that we're doing and helping people start their passion businesses. And I'd love to have you back on next week and answer your questions. If you have questions you'd like us to cover next week, please do submit them and we'll do it then. I'm Andrew Ford. Thank you for your time.